Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Why, hello there, and welcome to you all. Beginning of a new week in June. In fact, it's June 20th, a Monday, and glad to be here with you. I hate to tell you right now, but I ain't going to be here tomorrow. Sorry. Be back on Wednesday. Got a little medical procedure that needs to be done tomorrow. I'd rather be here with you, believe me. So anyway, it was an interesting weekend. I say that. I'm not sure why. I spent a lot of time doing the sports spectating kind of thing. I normally don't watch golf, but I figure because it was at Oakmont, it was my responsibility as a citizen of the area to ensure that everything went off okay. So I did watch the last 3 hours. God. And it proved to be extremely entertaining because those of you who watch know there was this ridiculous kind of issue involving whether a ball which moved like this all of a sudden, it was sort of like should result in a penalty for the player. It was unbelievable. Golf, God, you guys, but part of what I like about golf is that sort of snooty, rule-ridden, sort of honor system. I think some of the golfers self-report, I looked at my ball and for some reason it just sort of moved a little bit. Well, that will be 1 shot penalty for you, sir. Yes, I'm aware of that. I mean, it's all this sort of like gentlemanly kind of stuff that goes on. But that said, I want to say that because I don't normally watch golf, and haven't watched it for a long time, I was stunned by the raucousness of the gallery, I believe it's called. The crowd. Because it seems to me the last time I watched golf, there's, like little... Or woo, or little... It was all sort of quieter. And now, no sooner does a club hit a ball, immediately after someone starts screaming. There was some woman who was I wanted to kill her. If I could find the woman who was screaming at seemingly every drive. I really, unbelievable. And then there's people like screaming Baba Booey. Give me a break. That's like a Howard Stern line, right? Thing. This is golf at Oakmont. So there was kind of to me, this incredible disconnect between golf and that, rule-laden, gentlemanly sport, and what now passes for, I guess, fan behavior, which is just, I'm sick of it, guys. It's okay at a football game. This was golf. God, I don't even like golf, but I understand you don't. Boo-boo-booey! Oh, and the worst. When the winner strode toward the 18th, I don't know if it was tee or the green, I kind of lost track. The gallery started, get this, I couldn't believe my ears. USA! 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 I just wanted to run. If that is a result of, I was embarrassed. I was angry. I was embarrassed. What the hell does USA have to do with Dustin Johnson victory? He's an American? So what? Jesus, God. It was so annoying. I have to tell you, I really hated the crowd. I'm sorry, hated the crowd. And here's what else I hated. I hated Fox Sports production. Horrible. I hadn't seen a golf game in a long time, and man, they sucked at it. Bad shots, stupid patter, just badly done. I have to tell you, that was badly done. As for Oakmont itself, I suppose it did well. Although when I heard they cut down 45,000 trees. I find that to be akin to a massacre. That golf course used to have trees. And somehow the geniuses at Oakmont, why would you want to turn something into this like hot, baking, sterile, a tree? To cut down one tree, you've got to be a jerk, unless there's an absolute reason. 45,000? And then Jack Nicklaus came wandering in at one point, and he said, he won there a million years ago. He said when he walked up and he saw this barren landscape, he didn't say he wanted to puke, but it was quite clear he wanted to puke. So anyway, I just have to say, I hated the crowd. I thought they were ill-behaved. I thought the USA chant was disgusting. And I thought Fox Sports was not... Are they new to this? I don't know. It was unbelievably bad. Badly produced. I have a background in television, so I do know these kinds of things. Camera shots, just production in general, bad. So, I just wanted to say that, and I don't know how many even give a damn. And then I also watched, I'm not normally a pro basketball fan, but I had to watch Game 7. And I decided that I would enjoy it if I cared about which team won. And I decided I was rooting for Cleveland, which I know is an outrage for anyone in Pittsburgh. So I'm rooting for Cleveland because they want it. They deserve it. What the hell? And also, since seeing LeBron in Amy Schumer's film, what was her latest film? What was that one that's so fun? Huh? Trainwreck. LeBron James is very much front and center in that movie, Trainwreck, and I just loved him in it, so I feel like I know the guy, I like him, he's got a sense of humor, and man, what a player, so I was thrilled with that, too. Hello?
Morning.
Good morning.
I'd rather watch paint dry than watch golf.
Yeah.
I couldn't take that. But something stupider I want to talk about is Donald Trump.
Ugh. I sort of avoided him all weekend. What's up?
But I just heard him say about bringing back good paying jobs and all this bullshit the other day. And I'm thinking to myself, he didn't have to run for president. All he had to do is take those hotels he owns and give everybody $15 an hour. Raise their wages. I mean, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, but that's not the Donald style.
No, because when he gets in there, he's going to take care of everybody like he's doing out there. He's going to play the game.
No, he is not the working man's friend.
No, their people believe that, though.
Well, they're being willfully ignorant because the news is full of horrible stories about small business people who had a contract with Trump to do this or do that. They did the work, never got paid. And when he closed down, like the Trump casino, I mean, so many people lost their jobs. It even devastated the damn city. And he made off with millions. I mean, he always takes care of himself and leaves wreckage. He makes Romney look very good. No, he makes Romney look good and moral and ethical. Truly. He's a grifter. He's a con man.
Well, the myth he keeps telling people about, which I don't like free trade either, but I've kind of accepted it's already sewn in there. You're not going to change it. But that he's going to bring back these jobs. Well, you take a plant that was back whenever, 1,000 people, probably would employ 20 people now. And it would be all high-tech. You'd be fixing the robots or whatever it is. Those jobs aren't there anymore. And he's not going to bring them back anyway because he's not going to fight the businesses that have their, plants overseas.
No.
He's just not that tough. I mean,
listen,
he's up against
he ain't going to be in a position to do any of this.
No, I don't think so now. Hasn't toned it down.
No, he's ratcheted it up.
He could have probably maybe got close. I mean,
well,
he still can if he changes his tune.
No.
I mean, I can't stand the guy, but he could buffalo a lot of people.
Well, he has.
Yeah.
And but I have to tell you, the more I look into this, and I am worried because I think we need to play as if he can win, as you're saying, and I've been touting that. But I have to admit, I don't think there's any way that this guy is going to win the presidency. And in fact, I think he's going to lose big.
Oh, I think it's going to be a landslide now.
Unless he manages to get out. And, and it's not, we'll see. This is not, there are, every superlative that you can say has been lobbed at trying to characterize this particular presidential election. It is unlike any ever. And you have a party. We never had a party literally running away from its standard bearer. It's something. I don't.
And then you have Paul Ryan making a statement that you should be allowed to have a semi-automatic rifle.
Well,
that should be your right. You see that and you think,
no,
there you go.
Yeah, fine.
Yep.
Fools. Okay, fools and spineless, dishonorable men, I think.
I said it was stupid.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
We'll see you.
Bye. Okay, so Barbara sent me this. I haven't read it, but I got to read it. I'll read it out loud to you so we can all enjoy it together. This is from George Carlin on golf. I've got just the place for low-cost housing. I have solved this problem. I know where we can build housing for the homeless. Golf courses. It's perfect. Just what we need. Plenty of good land in nice neighborhoods, land that is currently being wasted on a meaningless, mindless activity engaged in primarily by white, well-to-do male businessmen who use the game to get together to make deals to carve this country up a little bit finer amongst themselves. I'm really getting tired of these golfing cocksuckers in their green pants and their yellow pants and their orange pants and their precious little hats and their cute little golf carts. It is time to reclaim the golf courses from the wealthy and turn them over to the homeless. Golfing is an arrogant, elitist game which takes up entirely too much room in this country. Too much room in this country. It is an arrogant game on its very design alone. Just the design of the game speaks of arrogance. Think of how big a golf course is. The ball is that fucking big. Is this fucking big? What do these pin-headed pricks need with all that land? There are over 17,000 golf courses in America. They average over 150 acres apiece. That's 3 million plus acres, 4,820 square miles. You could build 2 Rhode Islands and a Delaware for the homeless on the land currently being wasted on this meaningless, mindless, arrogant, elitist, racist. And there's another thing. The only blacks you'll find at country clubs are carrying trays. And it's a boring game for boring people. You ever watch golf on television? It's like watching flies fuck. And a mindless game. Mindless! Think of the intellect it must take to draw pleasure from this activity. Hitting a ball with a crooked stick and then walking after it. And then hitting it again. I say, pick it up, asshole! You're lucky you found the fucking thing. Excuse me, it's not me, it's George Carlin. Put it in your pocket and go home. You're a winner. You found it. No chance of that happening. Dorco in the plaid knickers is going to hit it again and walk some more. Let these rich cocksuckers play miniature golf. Let them fuck with a windmill for an hour and a half or so. See if there's any real skill among these people. Now I know there are some people who play golf who don't consider themselves rich. Well, fuck them. And shame on them for engaging in an arrogant elitist pastime. That's George Carlin. On golf. So, there's this magazine, The Week, which sort of compiles news from all over the world for people who are too busy or disinterested and want to just get one quick fix. Actually, I think it does the job pretty damn well, which is why I eyeball it myself. And then, it freaks me out when I find this stuff that happens here and I didn't know about it. So how does it get to The Week magazine when it happened here? Like this one. A newlywed bride in her wedding gown stopped to administer life-saving CPR outside a Pittsburgh hotel. I mean, that's a great story. A bride in her wedding gown saving somebody's life outside a Pittsburgh hotel? Why didn't I read that in the local paper? Julie Stroyne Nixon. She was off duty because she was getting married. She's a trauma nurse by day and a bride by night. And she said, my nursing instincts took over. Never knew that would happen on my wedding night. Well, what a great story. I don't know. I'm going to be all over the place today just because I have little thingamajiggots, thingamahoozies and whatsits, and that I want to share with you. There was a quote from the head of the Policemen's Union here, which pissed me off, and I have to share it with you. It is such a whiny, when you think of a police officer, what do you think? macho man. We think of police officers as strong and brave and courageous, standing. And then you see the guy who represents them in their union, and he's just this whining. Listen to this. This is what this jerk said. Because it rained on Saturday or something. When was that big deluge? Was it Saturday or Friday? Whatever. They went. Oh, it's Thursday. Because it rained out Oakmont, too. We have a call. Hello.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Lynn. It's Mike from D.C. I don't even know. Who
Hey, Mike. It's Lynn in D.C. Who the hell knows where I am? Hi.
Hey, can I introduce a new topic?
Yes.
Clarence Thomas.
Yes. I saw this, and I find that hard to believe. Here's what we're talking about, guys. The Washington Examiner? What is that? Is that
That's a shill for the Republican Party. It's a crappy paper they hand out to you as you walk out of the... You walk out of the metro.
Okay, so this is now I don't have the story I want. Anyway, is it they who reported?
Inside sources report
that our favorite justice, Clarence Thomas, is thinking about retiring. He likes to get into his RV with his lovely wife, and they like to go around the country. That's true. But that's astonishing. So if he would retire that, and you still got Scalia's seat to fill, and then Kennedy's close to retirement, my God, you could have a 6-3 liberal Supreme Court in the next year or two.
Do you think there's any
know.
Any impetus on his part to try and sway Republicans to vote for Trump, for fear that this will happen?
Maybe.
Is it political ploy?
Maybe. And in fact, his lovely wife, Ginny, has already taken to Facebook to say hooey. She says, here's her quote, "For all those who are contacting me about the possibility of my husband retiring, I say, unsubscribe from those false news sources and carry on with your busy lives. It is," and these are in all caps that she's written, "it is bogus. Unnamed sources are worth as much as their transparency is." So she's absolutely saying it's baloney.
So he's not trying to enter this discussion into the political landscape, but the shills that the Washington Examiner are. Like, be afraid, be very afraid. Interesting.
Who knows? I mean, as things stand now, the potential of the court turning into a liberal majority court are looking pretty good anyway, whether he retires or not.
Yeah, and the Republicans really overplayed their hand with the Garland issue, because Clinton's going to come in and she's going to pick the most liberal of the liberal lesbians, you know what I mean, that she can.
I hope.
Just to suit them.
I don't know. She still has to get through that damn, advise and consent process. And we'll see how much the Senate makeup is altered also in this election.
And the Republicans don't want a split court. They're losing as much as we are.
Yeah.
Because decisions they need ruling on can't get a ruling.
Right.
So if it's going to be a 5 or 4-4 court forever, then suits them right.
Yeah. So
they're eventually going to have to consent to somebody, and the people that Hillary are going to pull up aren't going to be as well loved as Garland,
or as sort of moderate. He is moderate.
Right.
Remember how much he wanted it? Remember him crying at the... I wonder what he's been up to these days. I don't think he's going to end up on the court.
No. I can't believe it. 9 months, and they refuse to do their job. It's just...
unprecedented. That's the word that usually applies these days. Unprecedented.
And that's what bothers me most about the Republican Party, is they cheat.
Yeah.
right?
They do.
These aren't the rules.
No.
Don't change the rules mid-game.
No, they
you
cheat.
lost fair and square.
Right. There's something.
Suck it up.
There's something. They just, they won't play if it. Well, I'll tell you, what's happening to the Republicans couldn't happen to a nicer bunch or a more deserving bunch. So, fine. They reap what they sowed.
It would be interesting.
It would.
And
I can't imagine a court without Clarence Thomas. What about all those insightful questions from the bench?
That was my first thought. Like, what? He works too much.
Yeah, right.
A year he shows up in a black robe. What?
They wouldn't even notice he was gone.
Oh, man.
Jesus, God. Well, I don't know, Mike.
Me either. But I thought it was an interesting
topic. I
noted
it too. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, that was in the mix this morning, but Thomas's wife is already trying to bat that down. So anyway, what I was saying is, so after all that rain, I guess on Thursday, as anybody who knows the east end of Pittsburgh, Washington Boulevard, which you would take to either turn right for Oakmont or left to go over like the Highland Park Bridge or to the zoo. That is a death trap during, and in fact people have died because it floods. It floods in a torrent that washes toward the Allegheny River. And ever since that grave death toll, some years back, maybe about 6 years back, people swept away in their cars. Horrific. They have installed gates at the ends of Washington Boulevard, so when it starts raining, the gates go down. You can't go on it. Now, in between the gates sits Zone 5, I believe, of the Pittsburgh Police Department. It used to be the when I first came here, it's where I got my Pennsylvania driver's license, so it used to be a PennDOT facility. And now it's Zone 5. So Thursday, when it rained and rained and rained, and they did close it down, and there was flooding, and Zone 5 floods because it's in that ridiculous flood zone. And there was mud and muck all over Zone 5, which has happened before. And the police officers decamped to Zone 4 in Squirrel Hill for a while. And there's, the police want to try to relocate because it's ridiculous to have things flooding like that. But listen to the head of the police union. Not only are police officers required to work for garbage wages and benefits, but they're required to swim in sewage at their workplaces. May I just say to the union president here, whose name is Swartzwelder, Mr. Swartzwelder, no police officers are required, as you say, to swim in sewage at their workplaces. You can't be taken seriously when you're a whiny human being who throws out that kind of absurd statement. First of all, we're talking about an act of God, right? Bill Peduto did not cause the flooding. I believe God caused the flooding. And police officers were not required to swim through the sewage. They were immediately told, go over to Zone 4, which is not flooded. They are required to swim in sewage at their workplaces. You know, when you say things like that over the top, that whiny crap, and you expect us to look up to you as like tough, strong men who are going to protect us? That's a comment of a weenie, a wuss, a total weenie, and a lying weenie. You want to be taken seriously in this job you got now, Union Prez? Then, speak truth. Speak truth. You have to swim through sewage. They're required to swim through sewage. That's what I say to you, sir. God. We got call. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Okay, yes, hello. Would you please turn down your audio?
Yes, hold on.
That is a...
Okay.
Okay, what's up?
That article about the bride,
Yeah.
I did read it in the paper. I just don't know which paper I read it in. But it was in either the Trib or the Post.
Probably the Trib, because I don't read the Trib usually, and I read the PG, every... Boy, the PG misses stories left and right.
Yeah.
What are they doing? That is a great story.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Here's somebody suggesting that the Clarence Thomas rumor is probably an inside joke with some Republicans. They know the guy couldn't think for himself. He needed crib notes from Scalia. And Chuck writes, I'm not entirely sure, but the crowd yelling USA had to do with the fact that many of these golfers are headed to Rio for the Olympics. I don't give a damn, Chuck, why they were doing it. It was out of place, especially since he was being chased, right, by an Irishman. That's what I thought. I thought, oh, good, the Irish guy didn't win. USA, USA. It had nothing to do with it. What the hell were they doing? God, sometimes I hate my country people. They just embarrass me. There's so many boors. There's so many people who don't have a clue how to behave. I'll tell you, that USA chant really wins us lots of friends. Let me tell you. It's not enough to be the biggest, strongest country in the world, the most economically prosperous, the ones with the biggest guns, the blah, 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 blah. We still have to run around and say, you know where the phrase ugly American came from? Jeez. Anyway, Chuck writes regarding the trees. Man, you wouldn't want to be a tree anywhere near Oakmont, I'll tell you. Devastation. So, regarding the trees, the course originally did not have trees when it opened in 1903. Oakmont was originally designed as a links course, which by design is treeless. Oakmont started planting trees in the 20s and 30s, and they started removing them in the 70s, slowly, so as not to upset the membership too much. Well, then, obviously, they decided, fuck the membership, and just mowed them all down. A links course is the type of course you see in Scotland and is traditionally treeless with lots of high grass and narrow fairways. Okay, been to Scotland, in fact, been at St. Andrews. I see that. But we are a very tree-like environment here. And all I got to say is, woodsman, spare that tree. For God's sakes, trees. Trees are wondrous. Trees are homes for think of all the birds that lost their homes, the squirrels that lost their homes. Think of the shade that nobody can have now if you're walking that godforsaken course. Yeah, sure, they got another thing going. We're going to return it to the 1903. These magnificent trees. The USGA completely mishandled the potential one-stroke penalty. They're lucky Dustin Johnson won by 4 strokes. That is all true. I think all in all, Oakmont cutting the trees down is a travesty. Oakmont. When did they start letting people like me in? Pretty recent, right? When's the first Jew got through the front door? Huh? When? Here's what I want to say to Oakmont. That's what I want to say. Fuck you. I just hate everything it stands for. I do. Well, I didn't mean to become so disagreeable, but... So anyway, this guy pointed something out really interesting. You know how I've been saying, and I've been saying to anybody who will listen to me, the one thing I'm scared to death of is if there's a terrorist attack before this election, Trump's gonna take it and run, and we're gonna end up with a President Trump. So ISIS can control this election, right? That's what I was saying. Well, guess what? We had a terrorist attack. Here's what this guy says. Michael Tomasky. He's with the Daily Beast. This was an important and even revelatory week in American politics, and we should take note of it. Contrary to what I'd argue has been the single most firmly held conviction about this campaign, that a terrorist attack would help the Republicans, well, it didn't. Indeed, it seems to have weakened their candidate. True. But it was his response that weakened it. Even for Republicans, it went too far. First of all, congratulating himself on predicting it, and then the further, sort of racist crap about all Muslims now are suspect. But, yeah, the attack happened, although it wasn't clearly ISIS. The attack happened, and he didn't benefit. In fact, the opposite. So Tomasky goes on to say, I want to advance a theory. Americans in 2016 just may have a less reactive response to terrorism than they had 15 years ago. When 9/11 happened, it was so shocking and new. Most people had simply thought that something like that could never happen in the United States. A decade and a half later, we have joined the world, the weary and beleaguered world, and learned that anything can happen anywhere, anytime. We may also have figured out, or most of us may have, that the bluster of the fearmongers hasn't really done us much good. George W. Bush, remember, said, bring 'em on. And bring 'em on they did. And we were pitched into hell. Maybe after these last 15 years of war, a lot of Americans hear Trump's rhetoric and plans and think, that's the last thing we need. So there you have a Michael Tomasky wondering if, in fact, we Americans are a little less willing to fall for the fearmonger's bluster because we've seen where it has gotten us. Hell. Right? Let's hope he's right. And speaking about Oakmont and Jews, and I'm sure blacks, I wonder if do they have any blacks there? Probably not. I was stunned by this. The FBI put out their new rankings of who is the target of the most hate crimes, right, in this country. And I was stunned on all kinds of counts. First of all, I was stunned to learn that Jews have been number one. You know, a lot of Jews in this country think, well, we've arrived, finally. We're in a country where people aren't going to kill us. And it turns out, no, Jews have been on top of the hate crime victim list for decades, but we just got deposed by gays and lesbians. Hello.
Hello, it's Dave from Washington.
Hi, Dave.
Talking about the reaction to this most recent event.
Yeah.
I don't think really most Americans consider this to be a terrorist thing, because the ties to terrorism are very, very tenuous.
Right.
It's like at the very last minute, this guy says, "Oh, and by the way, I'm with ISIS."
Yeah, I think so too.
It's just another one of these domestic goddamn gun nuts who doesn't like gays, just want to shut the place up, and we've become immune to that. Certainly, half the country, the conservatives, Republican gun nuts, they become quietly defensive whenever these things happen. So rather than, erupt into outrage and, all this sort of stuff, the exact opposite happens. They shut up because they know if we just shut up and be quiet for a little while.
Yeah, hunker down. It'll go away.
It'll go away. So I think that's one reason why you didn't get the reaction. It's not like these guys came over from,
right,
with visas and stuff and did a horrible crime.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah, the guy was born in
it wasn't quite, didn't pass all the tests required.
And we've become immune to these things. Because they are just such commonplace now. We become outraged, but then, we don't do anything about it. We just go on. That sounds like that the country is these days, so.
Well, I think you're probably right.
All right, well, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thanks a lot.
Hey, how about Cleveland?
I'm happy.
I am too. I watched it.
We should, come on, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, we're both cities that have taken a lot of crap for a long time.
I was born in Cleveland.
You were?
I was born in Cleveland, and we left Cleveland for Pittsburgh in 1965, and then 9 months later, Jim Brown left Cleveland, and the place has been a dump ever since. And Cleveland and Pittsburgh both went through the same bad economic turmoil in the 70s and 80s. Cleveland never got out of it.
Yeah.
Like Pittsburgh did. We got out of it very, very well. Cleveland never did. And of course, their sports team has sucked for years. But the people in Cleveland are great people, just like Pittsburgh.
Just like Pittsburghers, you can bet. It's a Rust Belt city.
Right. They work hard.
Yeah.
They play hard. They love their teams.
Yeah.
They suck, and they know they suck.
Right.
So they're like sufficiently contrite. It's not that they think that they're better than they really are. They know they stink. So I'm glad for them.
I am too.
I'm ready to go to Cleveland.
I am too.
All righty.
Bye. Bye. Yeah, I was thrilled when they won. I let out a whoop, and then went to bed. I was really happy. For one thing, everybody, Stephen Curry, and all that. I actually started to get his little, hissy fit in Game 6 was not like him, I guess. But I'm also sick and tired of that damn mouth guard of his. I can't stand looking at him with that thing hanging out of his mouth. Somebody tell him to put it back in. Geez, nobody knows how to behave anymore. Celine, I'm an old woman. What do you want? Sometimes the old woman just comes out. So anyway, yeah. Hey, gays, you've dethroned the Jews, and that's fine. No, it's not. It's. I'm so sick of it. LGBT people are twice as likely to be targeted as African Americans for what becomes a hate crime, and the rate of hate crimes against them has surpassed, the Jews, finally. So, here's the thing. Hate crimes are not reported properly, so I think this whole thing is suspect. I'm willing to bet that blacks are on the receiving end of a whole hell of a lot of unreported hate crimes. Gays are too. These numbers come to the FBI from local law enforcement, and there's some local law enforcement in this country that wouldn't know a hate crime if it bit them in their fat asses. So, for instance, in 2014, only one hate crime was reported in the entire state of Mississippi. Now, do you think that would be correct? No. See, the numbers are bullshit. But in Connecticut, where LGBT people are arguably more visible and influential, 23 hate crimes based on sexual orientation. So it has to do with where do you have urban areas, where do you have people who know a hate crime when they see a hate crime, they actually report a hate crime. Down in the South, they don't know a hate crime. Oh, hate crime, what's that? What's that? But the FBI does point out that the uptick in violence against gays is quite clearly a direct result of the gay marriage ruling and the trans issue and the fact that there's a whole bunch of Americans who can't deal with it. You want to hear how much some Americans can't deal with it? Listen to gays. This is the reality of them. I think I mentioned this the other day, but here's something even more. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican Senate Majority Leader, big influential guy here, Senator Mitch McConnell of the great state of Kentucky, has never used the word gay when talking about the massacre in Orlando. Not. He is not willing to acknowledge that it had anything to do with gay people. Okay, and Representative Pete Sessions of Texas, Republican, has said that the shooting site was not a gay club. Now, how do you say that when the club advertises itself as a gay club? But Pete Sessions says, no, that's not a gay club because we got people here we're supposed to feel sorry for who are dead. You know, there are people among the dead who had not come out to their own families. And so that's how their families found out they were gay. Can you imagine? And there are people who love some of the dead who aren't out, and so they can't grieve. And so even though we think so much progress has been made in terms of LGBT people, they still live as individuals in their family settings, in the environment they're in. And some still live this bifurcated existence because they come from religious families, because they come from families that they fear would disown them. Imagine. All right, what we got here? Ray on the U.S. Open. Lynn, I was there all day yesterday at the U.S. Open, walking around, following the Irishman. I bet you were. I was rooting for him, actually. And he melted down, yeah. I had a great time and saw none of the bad behavior you cite from the Fox broadcast. The 18th gallery on the last day tends to be, of course, the most privileged, youngest, and most rowdy white people. Overserved white people. That's what I figure, right? Who's going to land those seats? The biggest jerks in the universe, right? The international fervor arises from the number of nations involved in the hunt at the end. What, there was a Spaniard, there was an Irishman? I don't know. It has no standing, USA, USA. It's just ridiculous. We can all find other people's pastimes ridiculous and contemptible if we see them to be more than, if we set them up to be more than they are. I'm sorry. Just a distraction that gives an emotional jump to those who live it. I'll outrage and out-socialist anyone out there, but golf, baseball, hiking, mountain climbing, hunting, fishing, they're hardly the battles worth fighting. Yeah, but we can make fun of golf. I'm sorry. The clothes alone. And then, and my mom is a I come from a heavy-duty golfer. But the clothes alone. And I'm sorry, the cutting down of trees, a sin. A total sin. I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. Henri writes, on Friday you mentioned how Toomey has suddenly become an anti-gun advocate. I got this, and he has sent me something. This is from Toomey, I take it. I introduced legislation on Thursday that would help keep guns out of the hands of terrorists while protecting Second Amendment rights. Blah, blah, blah. However, I believe we have come to a moment in which I am hopeful that the law, blah, blah, blah. In legislation, blah, blah. I've had many discussions with advocates on all sides. I went down to the Senate floor and told my colleagues that I hope we can come together. Oh, okay, yeah. So he's out there. He's polling even with McGuinty. She is a weak candidate, guys. The Democratic Party is not a great vetter of candidates, if you ask me. Again, the party establishment thinking they always know best. They had a great candidate in Sestak, but because he wouldn't jump when they said jump, they took him out. Anyway, Toomey, an incumbent, is, as we poll now, even with McGuinty, which is not a great thing for an incumbent to be at this point. He has tons more money than she does, however, which is worrisome. And you can bet the Republicans will be throwing everything they can trying to hang on to that seat. So we'll see. All right. Well, I don't want to talk about it, Margaret. She said she was downtown yesterday and she saw the police shoot that deer. I can't bear it. There's so much I can't bear. I can't handle reality very well, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I had ants in my kitchen, in the counter, so I went and got ant traps. And I just felt sick when I put those ant traps down as I watched all those little ants scurrying around on my counter. Because I can't stand the fact that I knew they were going to die, and they didn't. They were scurrying around in and out, and I thought, oh, God, I'm killing them. And then I always have to tell myself, you have to. Your house would be overrun. You have got to push back. You can't let, but little ants. So, it depressed me. Then I'm doing a wash, and I'm about to stick detergent, and I put the clothes in, and I see like a wasp on my clothes in the washing machine, very much alive. I thought, ah! And then I thought, well, I'll just wash. And then I put it down, and I thought, oh, God, what a horrible way to die. What have I done to this wasp? And then I was afraid once it was done to take it out because I didn't know where. And when I took clothes out like this, and then the dead wasp did like, and I screamed. I am just I'm so like tiptoey through. I can no more handle a deer, poor scared deer finding its way into our concrete jungle and getting shot. I hate any of these things. I can't deal with them. I'm sorry. I'm much too soft. Life troubles me. Joe Ellen writes, poor Cleveland. Even when they win, they're dissed. The team wins the championship, and instead of tailing it back to Cleveland to celebrate with their fans, the team stops to party in Las Vegas. Nah, they just wanted to... They're on their way back. Come on. They're due in this afternoon, and all hell's going to break loose in Cleveland this afternoon. I'm happy for them. I really am. So you want to hear what one of the new jobs available is? This creeps me out big time. The world's newest profession. Professional cuddler. $80 an hour. You get $80 an hour for cuddling. I just think, I can't imagine. If you need a cuddle and you have to pay for it from a stranger, there's something so sad about that. There's something so sad about that. And they have this interview with one of the cuddlers. And ugh. She meets them I guess in New York. This is from New York Times. In New York, they have, you can rent rooms for an hour in Midtown. The rooms have a couch and a conference table and a whiteboard. Because some people might need to have a meeting and some people might need a quick lay. I don't know. So these are called Breather. It's called, I guess the app is Breather. And you can just rent. So she goes in there and unbelievable. I love being able to put my head in someone's lap and having my hair played with. I love being the big spoon. I like little arm tickles. Ugh. And the ears are awesome. Or even playing footsie. It's like drugs. You're done with the party and you're stoned from cuddling. Ugh. I gotta tell you, I know cuddling is good and is nice. But that's cuddling with somebody you love. Isn't it? Are we so far gone that we have to... I mean, I suppose there'll be robot cuddlers. God, we're so fucked, guys. We're just so fucked. Okay. I can't even... Ugh. I mean, she's lovely, this woman. And then, how can she be sure who she... it's weird. You have to be... you go for a course. You get about 10 hours of training. Who knew you had to be trained to cuddle? So, Celine, this is right up your alley. She's a manager at a vegan restaurant by day and a cuddler by night.
Providing a valuable service.
Yep, she's all about service, one way or the other.
Keeps one person from being lonely.
Yeah.
For it.
See, Celine says if it keeps one person from being lonely.
People do bad things when they're lonely.
So she was asked, what was your first session like? And she said, my very first client was a young man, maybe 19. He was in college. It was sweet. He wanted to hold me. That's what we did for the whole time. We listened to a Jack Johnson playlist, and he talked about school. Well, that sounds sweet, but sad. A 19-year-old paying $80. Ugh. I don't understand anything anymore. I really don't. I don't get it. I don't understand anything. So anyway, guys, so what I was telling you is I ain't going to be here tomorrow. God dang it. I single-handedly am trying to keep the medical profession in Pittsburgh up and running. So, yeah, I got this thing, and I got sedation and stuff, and so I can't. But I shall return, unless they kill me, which is always a possibility, because before they do these things, they always come in and say, you are aware that we could kill you. I mean, they don't say it like that, but that's exactly what it means. You understand there are always risks involved in any of these procedures. Well, you think, look, what's her name? Melissa. No, that's the daughter. The comedian. She went in for one of those simple procedures. Joan Rivers. What'd she go in for? An endoscopy or something. She went in, dead. So, yeah. Andy Warhol had a little appendix attack. Goes to the hospital in New York, dead. And as you know, they tried to kill me 2 years ago. Twice! So every time I go into a medical setting, I am assuming the worst. So guys, if I don't see you again on Wednesday, if this is the end, I just want to say, I've had so much fun doing this. I really, really have. And I'll be really pissed off if they kill me tomorrow. I will be so pissed off. If you hear like some shriek in the wind as it goes by you, that's me. If you see a marauding vulture going around and around in circles, that's me. So anyway, I hope they don't kill me, and I hope I'll be here on Wednesday, okay? And thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. See you Wednesday. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.